There is a specific kind of quiet that only exists in someone else's house after the parents have left. It is not the quiet of your own home. Your own home's quiet is familiar. You know every creak, every hum of the refrigerator, every sound the pipes make when the heat kicks on. Someone else's house is different. The quiet there has edges you don't recognize yet. I want to tell you about one specific night I spent inside that kind of quiet, a night that changed how I think about being alone in a house for the rest of my life. I was 19. I had been babysitting for extra money for about 2 years by that point, mostly for families in my neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. I was good at it. Parents trusted me. I had never once had a bad night. No emergencies, no scares, nothing beyond a kid refusing to go to bed on time. The Hendersons were new clients, a referral from another family I sat for. 2 kids, a 7-year-old boy named Caleb and a 4-year-old girl named Ruthie. A nice 2-story house at the end of a cul-de-sac, the kind of street where every house looks slightly different, but somehow exactly the same. Mrs. Henderson walked me through the house before she left. Kids' rooms upstairs, bathroom at the end of the hall, their room also upstairs, door usually closed, landline phone in the kitchen, and another extension upstairs in the hallway in case the kids ever needed to reach her. "We don't really use the upstairs phone," she said, "but it's there if you need it." I remember that detail specifically because of what happened later. I want you to remember it too. The evening went exactly the way these evenings usually go. I made mac and cheese. I let Caleb finish a level of his video game before bath time, which is a currency every babysitter learns to negotiate with. I read Ruthie the same book twice because she insisted, and I did the voices the way she liked. And by 9:30, both kids were in bed. By 9:30 p.m., the house was quiet, in that specific, someone else's house way. I sat on the couch. I turned the television on low. I texted a friend. I did the things you do when you are 19 and being paid to exist quietly in a stranger's living room for a few more hours. At 9:47 p.m., the phone rang. Not my phone, the house phone, the landline, sitting on the kitchen counter, exactly where Mrs. Henderson had shown me. I remember looking at the clock specifically because it felt an odd time for anyone to be calling a house phone. Most people I knew didn't even know this number. I picked it up. "Hendersons," I said, the way you're supposed to answer someone else's phone. There was breathing on the other end, slow, deliberate, and then a voice, male but strange, almost sing-song, almost like someone doing an impression of being calm. "Have you checked on the children?" I laughed. I actually laughed out loud, standing in that kitchen, because it sounded exactly like something out of a movie, and my first instinct was that a friend was messing with me, or it was a wrong number with a bad prank. "Very funny," I said. "Who is this?" The line went dead. I want to be honest with you about something. For the first 20 minutes after that call, I was not scared. I was mildly annoyed and a little curious, and I did the thing you do when something strange happens and you want to make it make sense as fast as possible. I told myself it was a prank call, random dialing, some bored teenager somewhere with a phone book and too much free time. It happens. Landlines get weird calls all the time. It's part of why so many people stopped having them. I checked on the kids anyway, because now the question was sitting in my head whether I liked it or not. Caleb was asleep, controller still in his hand, television paused on his game. Ruthie was curled up with the stuffed rabbit she slept with every night, breathing slow and even. Everything was fine. Everything was exactly as it should be. I went back downstairs and sat back on the couch, and told myself the story was over. At 10:15 p.m., the phone rang again. I almost didn't answer it. I remember staring at it for 3 full rings, deciding. I answered it. "Have you checked on the children?" The same voice said. Same slow rhythm. Same strange sing-song calm. "Stop calling here," I said, and my voice came out sharper than I expected, because underneath the annoyance now there was something else starting to move. "You should check on them again," the voice said, and then, before I could respond, "Check the closet this time." The line went dead again. I stood in that kitchen for a long moment, phone still in my hand, feeling something shift in my chest that I didn't have a name for yet. Check the closet this time. There was no reasonable version of a prank call that included that sentence. Prank callers didn't know there was a closet. Prank callers didn't know there was anything to check. I went upstairs. I want to tell you I went up there calmly, the way a responsible 19-year-old should. But the truth is, my hand was shaking on the railing the entire way. I checked Caleb's room first. Fine. Asleep. Controller still in his hand. I checked Ruthie's room. Fine. Asleep. Stuffed rabbit under her arm. And then I stood in front of her closet door for what felt like an unreasonably long time before I made myself open it. Clothes, shoes, a box of old toys on the top shelf. Nothing else. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, and I told myself out loud, quietly, in that dark room, "It's just someone messing with you. It's not real." I want you to hold on to that sentence, because I said it to myself several more times that night, and every single time I was wrong. I went back downstairs. I did not sit on the couch this time. I stood in the kitchen, next to the phone, arms crossed, staring at it like it might do something on its own if I looked away. At 10:43 p.m., it rang again. This time, I looked at the small caller ID display before I picked it up, a feature I hadn't even noticed the phone had until that exact moment. The display read, "Upstairs extension." I need you to sit with that for a second, the way I had to sit with it. The call was not coming from outside the house. The call was coming from the phone upstairs, the one in the hallway, 20 feet from where 2 sleeping children lay in their beds. I did not answer it. I stood there and let it ring 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, my entire body frozen in a way I had never experienced before, while a phone inside that house rang from a phone inside that house, meaning whoever was calling me was not calling from anywhere outside those walls. They were already in. I did not scream. I did not run upstairs. Every instinct I'd built up over 19 years of being a reasonably sensible person took over at once. And what I did was pull out my own cell phone and call 911, crouched down behind the kitchen island where I could not be seen from the stairs. 911, what's your emergency? I whispered it as quietly and as clearly as I could. House phone, upstairs extension, voice asking about the children. 2 kids asleep upstairs. The dispatcher's voice changed the moment I said upstairs extension. I could hear it, that shift from routine calm to something sharper. "I need you to listen to me very carefully," she said. "I want you to leave the house right now. Do not go upstairs. Do not try to get the children. Officers are on their way. Go out the front door and go to a neighbor's house immediately."
But the kids, we are sending officers right now. I need you to get yourself out of that house immediately. Can you do that? I remember the exact weight of that question. Everything in me wanted to run upstairs and grab Caleb and Ruthie and carry them out myself. But some small, cold, rational part of my brain, the part that has never fully turned back off since that night, understood that going up those stairs toward whatever was making that phone ring might be the single worst decision I could make. I let myself out the front door as quietly as the lock would allow, and I ran across the yard to the next door, and I banged on a stranger's front door in the middle of the night, sobbing, saying words that didn't come out in the right order. The police arrived in under 6 minutes, though it felt like 60. I watched from the neighbor's porch, wrapped in a blanket someone had put around my shoulders, as 3 cruisers pulled up and officers moved toward the house with flashlights and drawn weapons. They went in through the front door. I could see flashlight beams moving past the windows, room to room, upstairs. It felt like an hour before an officer came back out. It was probably 4 minutes. He found a man in the upstairs hallway closet, not Ruthie's closet, a linen closet at the end of the hall, directly across from the extension phone. He had been inside that closet, they told me later, for at least part of the evening before I had even arrived, having entered through an unlocked basement window sometime that afternoon while the house was empty. He had been calling the kitchen phone from the extension 6 feet away from where he was hiding, listening for my footsteps on the stairs each time, timing his calls to know exactly where I was in the house. Caleb and Ruthie were both still asleep when the police checked on them. They never woke up. They never knew, that night, how close danger had actually been to their bedroom doors. I did not find that out until years later, honestly, without a police officer's careful choice of the word asleep instead of anything more specific. I have never asked for more detail than that. I don't want it. I never babysat for the Hendersons again. I never really babysat for anyone again, if I'm honest. Something about that specific kind of aloneness, being the only adult awake in a house full of people who trust you completely to keep them safe, never felt the same to me after that night. The man was charged and later convicted. I sat through part of the trial. I will not pretend I remember every legal detail. What I remember is the strange, hollow feeling of seeing an ordinary-looking person in a courtroom and knowing he was the voice that asked me twice whether I had checked on the children. What stays with me, what I actually want you to take from this, if you take anything at all, is this. The version of that story you've probably heard before, the urban legend version, ends with "the call is coming from inside the house" as a kind of punchline, a chill, a thing people say around a campfire. The real version doesn't have a punchline. It has a lesson. If you are ever alone in a house at night, babysitting, house sitting, staying somewhere unfamiliar, and something feels wrong, do not try to make it make sense before you act. I spent 20 minutes trying to explain away a phone call that should have sent me straight to 911 the first time it happened. 20 minutes in a house with 2 sleeping children and someone already inside the walls with them is a very long time. Trust the wrongness before you trust your own explanation for it. Check the locks before the sun goes down, not after. And if a phone ever rings from somewhere inside a house that is supposed to be empty except for you, don't try to make sense of it. Just get out and call for help and let someone else go back in.